What's up, guys? So we're here today to talk about the deadlift. And what about the deadlift?
So we get we get one question a lot, and that is deadlifting bad for my back? The short answer here is just going to be an absolutely not. However, we do want to cover a lot of the nuances to this questions because there's quite a bit of them.
For example, like if people say, is driving a car going to kill me? The correct answer would probably be no. But if you don't know how to drive a car,
correct,
it could kill you. So
yes.
If you don't know what you're doing with a deadlift and have awareness of it, it could be bad for your back. But in general, it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there is no good or bad exercise, right? There's risky, less risky, depending on each scenario. Right? So we want to cover a couple of these different scenarios, like at what point in time of the healing process you're in if you've had low back pain before. Like that's an important one.
Yeah, so the people that will often ask this question to us are people that are just starting out and have no experience working out and have had a friend tell them that this is bad, don't do it. People that have actually hurt themselves deadlifting will come to us and say, I think deadlifting's bad because I hurt myself.
Or every time I do it, my back hurts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we want to realize then is every time you're doing it, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And we're going to go over a few things today to help you assess like what's going on. And here's a couple things with deadlifts. There's a lot of ways to deadlift. If you're doing a traditional strength deadlift, and we're trying to lift heavy versus like deadlifting inside maybe let's say an exercise class.
Yeah.
One of the differences is the depth that you can achieve. If I'm holding dumbbells or even a kettlebell, my depth might be greater than if I'm holding a barbell with plates on it. Because the plates are going to are limiting how far I can go down. I see a lot of people get injured with the deadlift by going beyond a certain range of motion that might not even be available to them if they're doing it with a bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I don't have much to add on that.
Cool. So let's demo a way to assess your hip hinge.
Yeah, do you want me to be the demo or to coach them through it?
I'll demo.
Okay.
Coach.
So, Dr. Ben's going to demo essentially a great way to assess like how far you can go down, or really it can turn into a drill to make sure that you're in the right position when you're performing a deadlift, right? Because as he mentioned, oftentimes what we see is people just getting into trouble because they're going down too far, and it's hard to see where their body's at in space. Right? So if they're getting a kettlebell and they're reaching for the floor, well, your hamstrings are going to run out of real estate unless you're really flexible, right? And right about now, mine have ran out of real estate, so I got to get it through my low back. If I'm trying to hit that kettlebell to the ground, that's what happens, right? So go ahead and show. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just the dowel position and where we want it: butt cheek, mid back, back of the head. Okay, come towards me a little bit. Step on this side of the, perfect, so the camera can see you. And then show them the hip hinge. And then just do a few reps like that, and I'll kind of talk through. And as he's doing this, the dowel should never leave these positions, right? And he achieves that by sitting his hips back, right? And not squatting down, but this is actually a hip hinge position. You're hinging at the hips, which is very important, and this is why deadlifts are actually good, because how many times you hip hinge throughout the day is thousands, right? So those are your checkpoints that you want to make sure to hit, right? And if you are losing tension through the hamstrings or rounding your back, that probably means that you have a habit of doing that in your classes or when you're deadlifting, and that can be a cause of some of the issues that you're having.
Yeah, so first fault you really want to feel is, did your dowel or stick pop off your sacral area or low back area? If that did, then you're just rounding up. And that is going to be the first fault we want to clear up.
That's the common one we see with the kettlebells or dumbbells when they're trying to reach for the ground. Like, don't make the goal, use the kettlebell. Don't make the goal reaching the ground, right? Because then I have to round the back. Make the goal sitting back, feeling the hamstring stretch, getting to about shin level, and then coming back up. That will make it way, way safer. And you'll still get what you want for the training.
Mm-hmm.
So
a couple key things that we stress with everybody, and this can clear up many different kinds of musculoskeletal issues or pains or discomforts or aches while you're doing almost any kind of lower body motion, is the concept of tension. Creating tension in your body before we begin to pick up loads. So where do you like to start off by creating tension?
So with the deadlift, I always start ground up. If you can create tension with your feet and legs, you'll take a lot of pressure off of the low back. And the way I like doing that is getting rooted into the ground and then trying to press the ground apart. You have like a seam here, right in between your feet, and you're really trying to rip the ground at the seam, right? So you're really trying to rip that ground apart, and in doing that, you create a bunch of tension, pressure off the low back.
Yeah, and what he's doing here, he's getting his glutes and his hips ready to pick up this heavy load. One thing to realize too is if you guys are creating tension, go ahead and create tension in your feet. Sometimes when you're first doing this, you get a little excited and you create a little too much tension, and you notice that you start to roll up on your feet. That's happening. We got too much weight shift pulling outward, and we're actually losing tension.
Yeah.
So
you really want those 3 points of contact: the ball of your foot, the ball of your little toe, and the heel. So it's like a little tripod, right? So if you lose tension in any of those, you've gone too far. Okay.
So you want to be able to maintain those points of contact while tearing that floor apart, not letting that seam do this. You want to rip it in.
Yes, absolutely.
And then where's the next area you want some tension?
The next area would be kind of like the upper back or lat area. This is going to depend on the implement that you're picking up. Use the concept of pulling towards you, right? So if you have bar, you really want to almost scrape the shins, right? Bend the bar around your shins, right? And that turns on the lats. And the lats, we're going to take off some pressure off the back, okay? And then if you have a kettlebell, what I like to do is I like to try to bend the handles that way, like I'm pulling them apart, like that. Okay, what that does again, turns on the lats and actually forces me to be in really good posture too, which is another plus, because when you get to the bottom, it's really hard to round without losing tension to the lats.
Yeah, so those are some really key points. And think about it like this too. The closer go ahead and demo this again, keeping that bar tight to your body. The closer this load is towards your body, the closer it is towards the center of yourself, and the less likely you are to have pull. As this thing gets away from you and starts to get out in front of you, you start to increase the amount of load that can go on this area right here. So by pulling in, you're going to help A, create tension, and B, keep that load closer to the point of motion.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm going to go back to the question at hand. Like, is deadlifting bad for your back? I think it's absolutely not, because it's really preparing your back to be able to pick objects up or just bend in general. And again, the amount of times that we do that throughout the day is probably between 1 and 5,000 times if you were to count it up. I mean, it's a hip hinge. It's anytime you do anything. So that's a guesstimated number too. I don't have any research to back that, but it's a lot.
Basically, think of it like this. So as we go throughout our entire day, we have the ability to grab objects from multiple different places, from the floor, from all areas, and we can grab them from a couple points. If you are bending down and you're grabbing something and everything is here, which would be like a really bad deadlift posture, we're isolating or we're putting sheer contact on these little tiny vertebrae right here. Where if you're able to hinge from your hip, which essentially a deadlift is, you are now loading this entire area, and you can start to disperse that force more evenly through your body. And that's the importance of a deadlift. So if you stop thinking of it as a strength training exercise that's going to hurt me, and you start looking at it as, oh wait, this is a way that I move all the time, and a more effective strategy for doing that, and I want to be stronger in picking objects up that way, then that fear and understanding of why this isn't bad for you will just diminish, and you'll be really happy with the results you get when you learn how to do this properly.
Yeah, and it's practice, right? Like you usually learn how to do this properly.
Lots of practice.
Right? So it's a process of practicing. It's a movement skill that it takes time to know where your body is in space and to groove a pattern that's very safe and effective, especially if you're doing it very heavily or for lots of reps.
Oh yeah, if you've never deadlifted and this is something that you're interested in doing, the dowel hip hinge, if you do 50 reps of that dowel hip hinge, just hold off. With tension, wake up tomorrow and notice where you feel that. And you'll be surprised, but the back of your legs and your glutes might be lit up and on fire. And that was simply just creating tension using a piece of wood. And if you look at other countries where powerlifting is very, very prevalent, when they're teaching this, a lot of times people won't touch load, like weighted load, for 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
You know, and we will go instantly to a class and have never done this exercise before and just load it without even assessing what is our range of motion. Are we able to maintain proper hip alignment? Are we rounding our spine? Which is a recipe for potential injury.
We have to make sure we have the right tools to make the right thing, what we're making, right?
Yeah, so for those of you that are new to this or learning it, always at first, just start off with less range of motion, start off with less load, create that tension in your body by pulling your arms down. I used to have a great instructor would say, imagine I've got popsicle sticks underneath your armpits and you cannot pull them out. And he would lock in like that, and no one would get those popsicle sticks from me. And that really helped my upper back tension.
So if this is helpful for you, please let us know if you have any questions or concerns. We'd love to help you out. Shoot us a message. If it's not a direct message, you can email us. Our email is info@kirehab.com. Let us know what you want to hear, anything you want to see, learn about, or if we can help you in any way, whether that be in person in San Diego or virtually, or maybe we can get you to a good practitioner where you're at. We know some peeps. So whatever it is, start the conversation. Let us know what you need. Let us know what you want, and we'd be more than happy to help you.
Yep, make feeling good a habit.
All right, guys, take care.